All right, here we go. So first one, which numbers are both less than negative 5, 6? Now, this is possibly a question that they might ask you in a section where you can't use a calculator. Okay, so what you need to think about is negative 5, 6 is just short of negative 1, right? In other words, if I was to make a number line, here would be negative 1, negative 5, 6 would be just to the right of it, it's just bigger than negative 1, correct?
Oh man.
Okay, so that means your answer is A, because negative 2.1 would be somewhere over here to the left of it, and negative 6/5, since 6/5 is bigger than 1, negative 6/5 is less than negative 1, so your answer is A. Okay, negative 2/3 and negative 3/4 would both be over here because they are bigger than negative 1. Negative 1.2 is less than negative 5/6, but negative 0.65 is not. And then negative 2/3 and negative 0.8 are both over here as well. Okay? Yeah. Just circle the correct answer. Okay? Okay, next one. It says the equation of a function is shown. And this is the absolute value of x plus 1. It says, what is the domain of f of x? And what the domain of f of x is all the x's that you can put in there and get an answer. Is there any x value that you can't put in there and get an answer for?
0.
What would 0 plus 1 be?
1.
1. What's the absolute value of 1?
Too much.
1. So 0 is okay.
All real numbers.
Is there? Yeah, all real numbers. There's not a single number that you can't put in there and get an answer for. Okay. The only thing you need to worry about with domain is if it's the square root of a number. And we talked about this when we were doing the quadratic formula. What numbers can't you take the square root of?
Negative.
The negative numbers. So if they asked the same question and it was the square root of x, the domain would have to be where x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, because you couldn't take the square root of a negative number. All right, Cheyenne, are you marking these down?
Yeah.
All right, next one. Which equation represents the line that passes through the points 2, 2, and 4, 1? So this is a lot of work. What do we need to do first?
Make a graph.
Make a graph.
You could make a graph, okay, or a table. Right, I think if we're coming up with an equation, probably the best strategy is to figure out what the slope is. And remember that the slope is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So what is the y coordinate of the second point? What's y2?
1.
1. What is the y coordinate of the first point? 2. What is the x coordinate of the second point? 4. And the x coordinate of the first point is 2. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. So that means our line has to have a slope of negative 1/2. Which of the 4 choices has a slope of negative 1/2?
B.
B. Because remember that the slope is the number that's in front of the x-axis. All right? Questions on that?
No.
All right, next one. Mary is going to deposit an equal amount of money into a checking account each month until she has saved $500. The amount of money Y in the account after X months can be modeled by the equation Y equals 25X plus 100. What does the slope of the graph of the equation represent? So you've got a 25 there in front of the X. That's the slope, right? The number in front of the X. What is the answer? A, yes, that is the amount of money that she's depositing each month, because you think of the slope as being how much something is going up by. So if she's depositing $25 a month, then that means that the amount of money she has in her account is going up by $25 each month. So that's answer A. All right, next one. Two lines divide the coordinate plane into the 4 lettered regions shown.
I didn't know this.
One region represents the solution set to the system of inequalities given. So they have the lines graphed for you. They just have not done the shading part. So the first thing you have to do is look at this and figure out which line is y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1, the red one or the blue one?
Blue. Blue. Blue.
Oh, okay, sorry. This one or this one?
Blue.
The blue one, how do you know? What does this number right here tell you? The y-intercept, and so since this line crosses the y-axis at 1, that must go with that equation, okay? So this, hold on, so that, what? No, it says plus 1. Okay, so y is greater than or equal to that, so that means we would need to shade above that line. Then the next one, it says y is less than or equal to that, so we would need to shade below this line. So in what region is it double shaded? P. So the answer is
C.
C. P. I don't know, I was trying to go fast. I might have missed something.
And folks got that right.
Okay, next one. Which statement best describes the transformation of the graph y equals absolute value of x to the graph y equals the absolute value of x plus 2? Do you remember this?
No.
No.
No?
Oh, wait.
Oh, I went in my
Wasn't it when it's on the outside it goes left?
When it's on the outside, it goes up or down. When it's on the inside, it goes left or right, and it's opposite of what it says. So since this is an x plus 2, inside the absolute value symbols, it's going to move it 2 to the left, okay? So what Jolena said is the key for you to remember for the next 3 days in here. Outside goes up or down, inside goes left or right, and when it's inside, it's the opposite direction of what you
What about the
think.
outside?
What?
What about the
Outside is
outside?
regular. If it says plus 2, it goes up 2. If it says minus 2, it goes down 2.
That's the only thing that got me because I
Right.
like I guess like positive was right.
Right.
Wait, what do you
Okay.
mean if it's positive it's actually just negative?
Which is the opposite of what you'd
Inside,
expect.
if it's like this.
Okay, next one. This almost, if you got this wrong, that's just a question of vocabulary. It says a quadratic function is represented by the given graph. Which values represent the zeros of the function? What does that mean?
I don't know.
No idea? Okay. If you had to guess, hey, if you had to look at this graph and guess, one thing that you should notice is that there's 2 answers here. What happens twice on this graph? Crosses the x-axis twice, yes, and that's what it means by zeros. It's where y equals 0, and so that happens at x equals what? -1 and 5, and so that's the zeros of a function are where they cross the x-axis. Okay, next one. What are the solutions to the equation x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0? We talked about a lot of different ways throughout the class to solve this problem. I'm going to say for this one, probably the easiest one is to factor it. I need 2 numbers that multiply together to give me -12 and add together to give me -4.
3 and 4.
3 and 4 do not add to give me 4.
I wasn't.
I know, you're the champ though, so we listen. What are another 2 numbers that multiply together to make 12? 6 and 2. Which one's going to be negative and which one's going to be positive? -6, +2, because the 1 in the middle is negative, so the bigger of these 2 numbers has to be negative, okay? All right, so then you have to, is not A, remember what we talked about, is if you have 2 things that multiply together to be 0, one of them has to be 0, so that means x minus 6 has to equal 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. So what number could I plug in for x to make this be 0? +6, and so this relates directly to this thing on the last one. We had a +2 in here, but it shifted to the left. Same thing here, I have a -6 in here, but my answer is actually +6. And this one is -2.
So it's
So
D.
it's D. Okay? Yeah.
Is it bad if I can plug them in?
Nope.
I tried it on test.
Seems like.
Sorry. Okay, you guys usually are pretty good with this. Scatter plot is shown which statement describes the correlation of the data graph.
Weak positive.
It should be strong positive. That's pretty linear. That's a pretty good straight line. Okay? Weak is going to be more spread out than that. Nah, it's going to be more spread out than that. Trust me. So this is a strong positive. Strong because they're fairly well grouped, and positive because they are sloping upwards. Okay? Yes? Weak positive would look more like this. It'd be still going generally up, but it'd be kind of a wider band of dots. Okay? Okay, next one. When 2 to the x equals 16 to the 5th, what is the value of x? Okay, this is a tough one. Okay? This is a really tough one. What you need to do with this is, since this has a base of 2, you need to change this so it also has a base of 2. So 2 to the what power equals 16? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, right? So 2 to the 4th equals 16. So all I did there is I took the 16 and I rewrote it as a 2 to the 4th. Okay? Then if you go to your rules of exponents, what do you do when you have a power to a power? Multiply it. Okay, so 2 to the 4th to the 5th is really 2 to the 20th. So if 2 to the x equals 2 to the 20th, x has to be
19.
You are a
20.
funny, funny man. 20. Yes.
What I did is I just like did 16 times 5.
Okay, but 16 to the 5th is not 16 times 5. It's 16 times 16 times. Okay, well, you got luck. Okay, 16 to the 5th is not 16 times 5.
I figured that
Big Nate,
out. Okay.
pay attention, please. Jacob?
What I did was like 16 to the 5th, and then I divided it by 2 and counted it until I got 2.
Right, you can do it. Okay, is that what you did? Okay. Yeah. Okay, next one. I already talked about these on Thursday. What is the 5th term in the geometric sequence with a first term of 3 and a second term of 6? Well, if it's geometric, that means they're multiplying. What are they multiplying by each time? 2. So 3, 6, then 12, 24. Whoa. And then the
48.
5th one is 48.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're just doubling each time for that one.
It could be like 3 terms.
That didn't make sense.
It could be plus 2.
All right, next one. The population of a town in 2003 was estimated to be 35,000 people, so that's where this number comes from right there. That's the number of people that you're starting with an annual rate of increase of about 2.4%. And so that's why this has a 2 and a 4 right there, because of the 2.4%. The equation shown represents the growth of the population, where y is the number of people living in the town in t years, wait for it, after 2003. Determine the approximate population in 2007, so this is the only thing you need to know how to do for this problem. In 2007, what does t equal? 4, because it's 4 years after 2003. Okay? So then you just plug in 4 for t, and this is a calculator problem. 35,000 times 1.024 to the 4th. Did anybody get that one right? 38,400 what?
82.
Okay, now we're talking about people.
I still did.
So I'm going to go with,
I still did 0.9.
okay, well I'm just telling you, probably should. because we're not going to have 0.9 in the first one.
Good.
It does not matter, even if they are handicapped, they're still a whole person. Even if they're a baby, they're still a whole person.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
What if it's above it?
Worse.
Yeah.
Page cannot be a whole person.
Yeah, this is right.
Okay, next
There's something
one.
wrong.
Determine the value of the expression when x equals 2, y equals 5, and z equals -3. So you're just going to plug in the numbers. So instead of writing y, I'm going to write, instead of writing y, I'm going to write 5 minus 3 times the absolute value of what's x? 8
2.
minus z squared. Now you need to be careful with this. Z is -3. What's z squared? Which is what?
9.
Positive 9. Okay? So this minus right here stays as a minus. Now I'm going to do my multiplication. 4 times 5 is 20. What is 2 minus 7? 2 minus 9, I mean? Do you know the answer?
7.
-7.
Yeah, but it's 7.
What is the absolute value of 7?
I distributed.
But you have to do the absolute value first.
What are you doing? What's
I'm
that?
doing this problem. Then 3 times 7 is 21. And 20 minus 21 is -1. So our answer is -1. Okay? So first you just plug in the numbers. Then you just go through and do your order of operations. Multiplication comes first.
Can you go back a page?
Hold on a second. Why did I do what? Multiplication comes first, so 4 times 5 is 20, okay? The absolute value symbols act like parentheses, so I need to do what's inside the parentheses first. 2 minus 9 is -7. Then I can take the absolute value of -7, that is 7. Now I still have to follow an order of operations, so I do multiplication first. 3 times 7 is 21. 20 minus 21 is -1. Okay? Can I do what now?
Go back a page. Okay.
Okay, next one. System of linear equations is given. Determine the solution of the systems of equations. So, we have done these a lot before. We did substitution or we did elimination. You guys usually liked elimination. What can I multiply either the top or the bottom equation by so that when I add them together something will cancel? Negative what? -2? Okay, so I'm going to leave 3x minus 2y equals 6 alone. And then I'm going to take the bottom equation and I'm going to multiply it by -2. So -2 times x is -2x. -2 times -y is positive 2y, which is why Katie chose -2. Because now when we add these together, the y's will cancel. And then don't forget you have to multiply this number by -2 also. So 3x minus 2x is x. -2y and positive 2y cancel. So x equals 4. Okay? Notice that there's another space though. We also have to figure out what y equals. So to do that, I'm going to take this 4 and plug it into either the top equation or the bottom equation. I don't care which one.
Bottom.
Bottom one? Okay, so instead of writing x minus y equals 1, I'm going to write 4 minus y equals 1. How do I solve that? You want a plus y and minus 1? Okay, so if I add y, those cancel. So 4 equals 1 plus y. Then Francis says minus 1, so the 1's cancel. 4 minus 1 is 3. So my answer is 4, 3. 4 because x comes first, and then y. Okay? Okay, now we have a quadratic equation, and this word threw a lot of you off.
Yeah.
Okay? Roots is just another way of saying answers. Okay? So zeros. Zeros is a way of saying the answers. Solutions is a way of saying answers. And roots is another way of saying answers. And so same thing with the other one. I'm just going to factor this. Two numbers that multiply together to make negative 24 and add to be 10 are? No, 6 and 4 will, but one of them has to be positive and one of them has to be negative for them to multiply together to be a negative number. Positive 12
And negative 2.
and negative 2. Okay, do you understand why 6 and 4 won't work? Okay. And so since x plus 12 equals 0, what's the answer here?
Negative 12.
Negative 12. And since x minus
2.
12 equals 0, the answer there is 2.
I got the second number right, just not the first one.
Whoa.
Okay, next one, it says a quadratic equation is given. Now it says use the quadratic formula to determine the roots, because this one will not factor. Okay? So I believe that they will give you the quadratic formula in the test booklet if you need it. And you just have to be able to apply the formula to the numbers that they gave you. So what's the opposite of b? Okay, b is negative 4, so the opposite of b is positive 4. B squared is, which is what?
4 squared.
16. Hey, you guys in the corner, can you stop?
Minus 4.
Minus 4 times a is 1 and c is negative 8. And that's all divided by 2 times a, which is 2. Okay?
I wrote this.
Now we do what's underneath the square root first. So negative 4 times 1 times negative 8 is positive 32. Positive 32 plus 16 is positive 48 over 2. Okay? And then you could just go from there on a calculator, go 4 plus the square root of 48 and take that answer divided by 2. Go 4 minus the square root of 48, take that answer divided by 2. If you do that, you should get 5.46 and negative 1.46. Now there is another way of doing this where you get an exact answer. What's the biggest perfect square number that you can think of that goes into 48 evenly? 16. How many times does 16 go into 48?
3.
3. So I could rewrite this as 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 times 3 divided by 2, right?
Bingo.
What's the square root of 16?
4.
4. So that means I could rewrite it again as 4 plus or minus 4 times the square root of 3 over 2.
This
And
was
then since
confusing.
4 and 2 are all divisible by 2, I can cancel the 2, make that a 2, and make that a 2. So you could write your answer like that as well, okay? Okay, next one. Crazy notation.
36.
But all they're saying is A1 equals 8. So start at 8. And then what do? No, not times it. It doesn't say times 3. It says plus 3. So add 3. So 11, 14, 17, 20, 23, 24, 27, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoa.
26.
26. Okay, so the seventh one is 26. Okay? So again, all that means is A1 is where you start. It says plus 3, so that it says plus 3, so that means add 3 each time. And A7 means they want the 7th term from that. Okay?
Okay, so I got A to the 7th power. So I just got.
Oh no, the 7 is below. It's a subscript, not an exponent.
You should have went over that one.
No, I just did.
Wait, what's that?
It means the 7th term in the sequence.
So how do you do that?
Well, you start with 8, okay? Because this says A1, so that means the first one is 8, and then you add 3 each time. So plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. And the question is asking what's the seventh one. So keep going till you get to the seventh one. Yeah.
What's the point of your K?
It's just a variable. It means you don't get hung up on it. It would be more confusing if I tried to explain it to you. Okay, next one.
This one I didn't even do.
The admission fee at a local fair was $1.50 for children and $4 for adults. A total of 2,200 people entered the fair and $5,050 was collected. Write two equations that can be used to determine the number of children and adults that entered the fair. So how many people were there altogether? No, how many people? 2,200, and all those people were either adults or children. So that means the number of adults plus the number of children has to equal 2,200. Okay? Then as far as money goes, they got $1.50 for every child, so 1.5 for every child. They got $4 for every adult, so 4 for adults. And when they added up all the money, they had a total of $5,050. Okay?
Wait for a second now.
Okay? So those are your two equations. We're not done with this problem. It says, solve the system of equations to determine the number of adults that entered the fair. So we can go substitution or elimination. You guys usually like elimination. You want to do that? Okay, what number can I multiply this top equation by to get something to cancel with the bottom? Negative 4. So I'm going to make this negative 4a minus 4c equals negative 8,800. And then I'm going to switch these around so they match up and go 4a plus 1.5c equals 5,050. Okay, now that we have it set up like that, we're not done yet. We can add these together. So the a's cancel. Negative 4c plus 1.5c is negative 2.5c. And negative 8,800 plus 5,050 makes negative 3,750. Okay, how do I figure out what c is? Divide. Does someone have a calculator on them that they can do that? What is negative 3,750 divided by negative 2.5?
1,000.
Does somebody have? Somebody just said they had a calculator. Nolan, do you have a calculator? No. Why did you say yes then?
I didn't say yes.
Who said yes? So there are 1,500 kids, but the question says, how many adults are there? So how can we figure out how many adults there were? From the 2,200, yeah, because you know there are 2,200 people that went all together. If 1,500 of them were kids, then that means there had to be 700 of them that were adults. Okay? Without problem, yes, no. Okay, two more. I need, hey, guys. I need more of your attention than I'm getting right now. Nolan,
I'm doing pretty good.
I need your attention. I need you not to be a distraction. Okay? We're doing this tomorrow and the next day and the next day. For many of you, most of you, it's important. Okay? Okay, Miss Smith is purchasing a fruit platter. She's received pricing information from 3 restaurants. Each restaurant uses a different function to determine the price of a fruit platter, where X is the pounds of fruit purchased. So she wants to purchase 10 pounds of fruit. We're trying to find her the best deal. This one is really easy to figure out. You just plug in 10 for X. What's 2.6 times 10? 26. You just move the decimal over 1. So 2 plus 26 would mean at that restaurant it would cost her $28 for 10 pounds of fruit. Okay? This one is not so bad either because it's going up by 2s. So you just have to figure out that these numbers are going up each time by $3.50. So if I add another $3.50 onto there, then that tells me that at this one it's going to cost $27.75, which is better. But this one is the correct answer, and it has the most complicated solution. You make a straight line that goes through there and come up with the equation for the line there. Okay? To do that, I need to figure out the slope between 2 points. So I'm going to choose this one and this one. So from this point, now let's not choose those because that one's in between the lines. Let's choose this one because it's right on where the lines cross, and this one. Okay? So to get from this point to this point, I have to go up. Each one is 1/2 of a pound. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, and over 2. So my slope of that line is up 5.5 over 2, which if I divide those two things is 2.75. Okay? Which means that, how much is it per pound from that restaurant? What? How much is it per pound from that restaurant? 275. That's the slope would be the price per pound. So if I want to get 10 pounds of fruit, multiply that by 10, and that would cost me $27.50.
Oh, not even that much less.
Okay? Nope, not even that much less. And if you called up a restaurant and said, how much is it for 10 pounds of fruit? And they say, well, the linear equation we use to figure out how much we charge is the following, hang up the phone and call somewhere else, okay? Jacob?
Who would make that much of a big deal out of?
Me. All right, last one. There are 17 employees at a company. The employees earn these hourly wages. 8 employees earn $9 per hour. 7 employees earn $12 per hour. And 2 employees earn $33 per hour. Okay, determine and explain mathematically which measure of center. What are the 3 measures of center that you know? They all start with M. Yeah, average, mean,
Median and mode.
median,
Yeah, it's been several times now.
Mode.
and mode. Okay, so if you want to figure out the average, since there's 8 employees at $9 an hour, you would go 8 times 9 plus 7 employees at $12 an hour is 7 times 12 plus 2 employees at $33 an hour is 2 times 33. That's going to be the total hourly wage of everybody. What do you divide that by to figure out the average? How many workers are there? 17. So you divide that by 17, and you find out that the average is about $13.06 an hour. Okay? What's the median? What's the definition of the median? The middle number. So you better list these out. I've got 8 nines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 7 12s. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 12s. So the middle number, if I cross off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1, the median is $12. Okay? And then the mode is the number that comes up the most. Please, hey guys, please stop. Put the shoes down for crying out loud. I'm trying to teach you something. Good Lord. Okay, the mode is 9 because why? Comes up the most. Most people make $9 per hour, so the mode is 9. Okay? Now, once you've figured those out, you can use any reasoning you want to explain which one you chose. Okay? You could say it's the average because, you know, the average usually represents the middle. You could say it's the mode because that's what most people make, and so that's what you could be most likely to make. Or you could say the median because the same number of people make more or less, okay? The idea is just that you reason logically to explain why that's the case. All right? Okay.